So I'm going to start from this edge and then work downwards. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a short horizontal line. This is going to become my shoulder point. And from this line, I'm going to mark all of my vertical distances. So I'm going to mark vertical distance from my shoulder to my bust. Mine is 8 inches. I'm just going to mark that here. From my bust to my waist. And then I'm going to mark from my waist to my hip. Mine is 10 inches. So I'm going to square this across. This is going to become my bust line. Square across my waistline too. And to see how it would turn out. All right, so we have shoulder, bust, waist, and hip. I'm going to mark half of the across shoulder. So I'm going to mark this here. Next measurement we're going to be marking on the pattern is 1/4 of the bust measurement minus 1 inch. And then I'm basically going to repeat the same thing for my waistline as well. The hip we're going to skip because the hip is going to be shaped in a slightly different way. So the waistline here is 29 divided by 4 minus 1 at 6.25. That is my own waist. I am going to mark 2.5 inches below my waistline, and this is going to help me to draw in the leg shape that most one-piece swimsuit have. So I'm just going to my waistline and I'm marking 2.5 inches below, and I'm going to yet again square across because that's what we do over here. Next up, I'm going to plan in the neckline, and mine is 2.5 above my bust. That's going to help me draw in my neckline shape. The neckline width from the center front to this edge, I am going to be marking 3.5 inches horizontally like this. So I want my swimsuit shoulder strap to be 2 inches wide. So I'm going to mark that inside of my across shoulder measurement. And then I'm going to drop it by 1/2 inch. So I have a slanted shape for my shoulder seam. So I'm going to draw this in next. Please let me know if I'm going too quickly. I'm just mindful of the time as well. All right, so once I have that neckline marked, I'm going to draw in my scoop neckline like this, and then connect it to the shoulder point like that. So I have my front neckline drawn in place. I'm going to draw in the arm curve, and this is going to go straight down to my bust because I want my swimsuit to actually be quite low. I'm going to go in next to draw the side seam, and I'm going to be connecting the bust line to the waistline next. Curve you in here. Now to guide me to shape this part correctly, I am going to mark 1/4 of my hip measurement here. I won't draw it down, but I would draw it in such a way that it's going there, but it would only stop here. Just mark it here, so that guides me to draw in the next shape I'm going to draw. Okay. Now I'm going to continue the side seam from the waistline up until this point, but how far I spread this is being guided by this point that I just drew here. And I'm just going to curve this out a little bit like that. Hope my hair is not blocking what I'm doing. It is. Oh. And then I'm going to come back in and shape here like so. If you do not have a pattern master, you can use a French curve. No need to worry. All right, cool. Now let's move on to this crouch area here. So you want to come to your hip line and mark 2 inches below this point. What you can also do is mark your crouch depth. Mine is 12 inches. So yeah, that's about right. So you can either mark 2 inches below your hip line, but if you just want your pattern to be more accurate and fits you perfectly, I would highly recommend marking your crouch depth from your waistline all the way below your hip line, because that extra measurement below your hip line is what will help the swimsuit to actually wrap around and cover your girls in the lower region, if you get what I mean. Just a little bit, not too much. And along that point, I'm going to decide on how wide I want the bottom part of my swimsuit to be. But I'm going to create one that is 1 inch wide here. So by the time it's folded out and doubled, it's a total of 2 inches along this bottom part of my swimsuit. So I'm just going to come in here and draw in the shape. For the front, you want to shape it like this, so it goes naturally in that like a panty or like underwear or undergarment shape. That's what we want to achieve here. And then when I get to around the hip part, I want to have it slightly more straight. Just curve it out like that. Let's bring it out a little bit. That's fine. So we have our front swimsuit done. This is the front. You can also cut out your pattern. I'm just going to leave mine here like this, so I'm able to trace off the back in such a way that the pattern is not flying around. Even if you can't finish it, or if you can't stay till the end, you have the pattern ready to use. And I know for a fact that once you have the pattern of something already done, more than 50% of the work is done, because pattern making is what consumes time, in my opinion. The back doesn't curve in like this, except if you want like the thong style, which would curve in even more. But I want my butt cheeks to be nicely covered in this swimsuit, so I'm going to curve it a little bit outwards like this to the side seam. That's what I'm going to do. So it curves in nicely. Okay, that's the first change we're going to make for the back. I'm curious to see what people's fabrics are, honestly. Like, are we using plain fabrics? Are we using print? You know, I'm the queen of print. Like, my life, the day God made me, I was in a good mood, because I just love to work with colors and bold prints. It's just, I don't know, I just feel good. Once you've traced off the side seam, don't forget to transfer the waistline notch, so that way it helps you connect the pieces together. Just shallower by about 1/2 inch. So you want to bring it out just a little bit here, but it's the same on top and it's the same at the bottom. So if you can turn your French curve, your pattern master, whatever curve ruler you're using, if you're turned in such a way that you start off here, this bottom edge the same, you have the top the same, but this middle region is shallower because the back of our bodies are not as curved. So I'm just going to curve this in like that. That's the second difference that the back swimsuit has. The shoulder slant or the shoulder sloper is the same. So I'm going to draw it all the way down there. You can make yours even sexier, because why not? So I'm just going to draw it in like this. So it goes from my bust line. Remember to make it straight-ish along that center back edge, so you have like a nice straight curve. And then curve that back into your shoulder points. You want your back and your front to meet at the same point, so when you're stitching everything together, it all makes sense. Okay, so now we have the two main patterns out of the way. We're just going to quickly create the piece for the crouch, the piece for the cups, and then we cut out our pieces to stitch together. So this edge is gonna fold because I want to have it as one piece. So I'm going to fold it like that. and then align it to the stitch line. This is the seam allowance line. This is the line that you want to align your fold to. This I am going to trace off up until the hip line here. So I'm going to trace off for the front, this edge, like that. Then I'm going to open it and trace off the back like this. So that way you have one entire piece that goes both ways. Draw you in there. Then I'm going to draw in the center front / center back edges, and this I'm going to cut on a fold as well. You could also match it to this side and draw in the hip line for the back, so that way you have, you know, accurate measurement actually happening. Do you hear me? All right, so let's just extend that upwards, draw that in. Then we have this 1 inch. Cool, so this is going to become our crouch piece. I'm going to connect these points together, or you can leave them the way they are if you do not want that. All right, so now we have our crouch piece here. This is, let me just double check that that is right. That is correct. So this is for the front. That is for the back. Amazing. So this I'm going to set aside, and I am going to create the last pattern piece for the bust cups for my front, go around my bust area, but I don't want it to go all the way to the shoulder point. So I am going to have it sit, I would say 1 inch above my bust, goes to the same side seam, and I want to have it same level as that, so 3 inches. So let's just highlight that quickly. Let's highlight this quickly here, so I know what areas I'm tracing off. Just tracing off mine for the front, like so. Have you created all of your patterns? Have you created all of your swimsuits patterns? This is a size 10 and we're in 2022. Okay. All right, second pattern done. Let's cut you out nice and neatly. How is everyone doing? Are we getting along with the pattern making so far? Okay, so we have our patterns all done. We have the front. This is what the front looks like. We have the front bust pad piece, which is where the bust pads are going to sit on this side, on the inside of the swimsuit. We have the back piece here. We also have the crouch piece, which is going to be cut in a fold, so it becomes like one whole piece that goes into the crouch of the swimsuit. That's a total of 4 pattern pieces that we have finished.